So everybody's fascinated about the idea of knowing themselves and knowing others with a simple and precise scheme or definition, like astrology or the Myers-Briggs personality test or the Big Five traits. But doesn't matter how much we like them or how easy they are to understand and to sell, they ignore a fundamental aspect of human experience, and therefore they are all wrong or, at the very best, incomplete, at least 50% incomplete. So if you want to know yourself better, if you want to know others better, so you can put yourself in situations where you can be happier, more productive, and a better human in general, watch this video to the end and you will gain a better understanding of what current science says about personality, how you can know yourself better, and how you can change traits that you don't really like or that are not advantageous to you. So the fascination with personality and identity comes from way, way back. So we have astrology from Egypt, from China, from old European civilizations, from the American civilizations. And this was just the start, a way to find some simple characteristics that will indicate who you are, like the position of the stars or the way that your face and head are formed, things like that. And then we came all the way to Jung, who started to map this in a more scientific manner, but he did not quite complete the job. He could not go to the end, maybe because of the limitations of the time. And then Myers-Briggs came, took some of Jung's ideas, and turned into the Myers-Briggs identity or personality test, which a lot of people use, and a lot of people mock astrology but like the MBTI. But MBTI is just astrology for personality too. If you don't know science, then you go to MBTI because it's not reliable, it's not consistent through time, and it doesn't really predict behavior. A real personality test should predict some behavior. And so came along the Big Five traits personality theory, which took a lot of questionnaires and analyzed the questions and the answers, and they realized that most questions and answers could be separated in 5 different groups, the Big Five personality traits. And even though it is one of the more robust theories we have on personality, it has a problem because a lot of psychology, not only personality psychology, but all of psychology and economics and a lot of society really, they focus on the rational and conscious part of ourselves. So when you take a Big Five personality test, you are revealing what you think about yourself consciously. So if you think yourself an introvert, you will answer the questions as an introvert. And when you are put in real world situations where you can deliberate and act in a more rational way, you will act like the way you described yourself, usually. So if you tested as an introvert and then someone invites you to a party tomorrow, you may think, oh, I'm an introvert, I don't think I'm going to like going to the party, and then you decline the invitation. But the thing is, we are not rational creatures. Most of what we do, what we feel especially, comes from the unconscious part of our brains. And we are not aware of our unconscious mind. It is there, it is controlling a lot of us, but we cannot discover it directly. And this is the theme of this book, which I've made a video about already. And this personality part is another thing that this book inspired me to record a video about, because we cannot know ourselves directly. This is scientifically proven. So we cannot take a test and find out who we are. We have to infer, we have to make educated guesses based on how we really behave, especially in situations where we cannot deliberate very much. So in the party situation, let's say you are just walking down the street and someone opens the door and say, "Hey, you're here. There's a party going on. Come inside." If you don't have time to think, it doesn't matter if you think you're an introvert. If you like socialization, if you like parties, your automatic reaction will be to go in and you will have a good time if that's in you. So, and I think the most disturbing tests that were made about this were tests involving race, how people really feel about other races. Because we all were educated and we all know that it doesn't matter the race of a person, right? What matters is the character. But if we present people with pictures of several races, people will have an instinctive reaction, a bad reaction, an aversive reaction to photographs of people of other races. So this is an automatic reaction, and then people can stop and think that this reaction makes no sense, and they will act accordingly. They will treat everybody the same, or at least they should. But the initial reaction is uncontrollable. And if you've read Daniel Kahneman's amazing book, Thinking Fast and Slow, and if you didn't read it, please read it. You know that our brains operate in two parallel systems, the fast one and the slow one. And the slow one is the rational, deliberate one that requires more energy. And the fast one are instincts, emotions. And it requires less energy because it's more automatic. But since it's automatic and outside of consciousness, it's harder to change. But it's also where happiness lives, where emotion lives, where joy lives. So if we want to be happy, to be productive, to be good to other people, we should be aware of our unconscious biases, our unconscious preferences, and our unconscious rules for life, because we all have them, and we have to honor them, or at least know them, so we can avoid the consequences that may come from them. So we come to the conclusion that things like astrology, MBTI, other quizzes, they are not very reliable. The Big Five is a reliable theory, but it only serves to describe our conscious selves and our conscious decisions and behaviors, which are maybe the minority or maybe not even important in the end of the story, because we all want to feel happy, joyful, energized, and that comes from the unconscious personality. So what science has found is that we don't have 5 or any number of traits that are stable. What we have is stable reactions and behaviors to different contexts and situations. So what happens is we may have a regular way of acting, but when we encounter certain situations, certain ideas, or certain types of people, we will behave in a different way. Because when we grow up, we form a lot of if-then rules based on our environment and our genetics, of course, in interaction with that environment. So maybe you had an abusive parent and you have certain ideas that were very energized in your brain. They are very accessible. For instance, if you see someone drunk, you immediately, put yourself out of that situation, or you become quiet or something like that. But in other situations, you are very gregarious, very extroverted. And this can happen, like I said, towards ideas, certain types of people, or situations. So what happens is we don't have a personality set in stone. We have a lot of traits and behaviors that change according to what is happening around us, because we learned from our early years how to behave around them in a way that made us safe. So if you want to know your personality, a quiz will not do. We have some other indirect tests like the TAT, the Thematic Apperception Test, that will analyze the words you use to describe certain situations and try to infer what are your personality traits in certain situations or some of your unconscious biases. But the best we can do is be aware that we change in different situations. So we can try to keep track of those situations and when we behave differently, and try to find out what moves us, what really moves us, what we really want. And so coming out of Big Five personality traits, we have the work of Walter Mischel and Schoda, that they criticized exactly that. The Big Five has too much emphasis on the conscious parts of our personality, but we have the unconscious part as well. And their theory, it has a nice tie-in with what was discovered by neuroscience in the last decades, which is that most mammals have 6 basic systems for interpreting the world and acting upon it. And they are seeking, caring, play, and fear, anger, and sadness. So according to the situation we are in, one or more of those systems will be more activated, and we will act and we will feel accordingly. So the idea of personality is to be aware of different situations and how we act to them, how we feel about them, and try to interpret them later, not in the light of a questionnaire or of a conscious idea we have of ourselves, but with base on reality, on what really happened. Because we cannot have access to our personality directly, thinking about it. We have to make educated guesses. And as a personal example, I used the party example for introverted in the beginning of the video for a reason, because I'm exactly like that. If I try to plan an event or if I think about attending an event, I am very nervous and I'm not very joyful or energetic about it. But if I force myself to go, I always end up having fun and interacting a lot with other people. And I don't think I ever regretted going out and meeting people, even though at first I didn't want to. So this is just one silly example. We have lots of examples, like what makes you more productive, what makes you aggressive, what makes you peaceful, what makes you joyful. We have to think of situations like that and be really honest with ourselves. And then, and only then, we can use our rational brain to put ourselves in the best situations possible where we can flourish. I hope this video was helpful. Please leave a comment if you like these ideas and if you agree, or even if you disagree. I would like to hear your opinion. And if you like this video, you really love the video that is appearing on your screen right now. See you later.